Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me for my autumn message. I am speaking to you today because we have just finished our November exam board, where we award degrees and determine progression for our taught postgraduate students. This, in effect, marks the end of the last academic year, which means that in a very real sense, we operate a 13-month academic calendar, where new students arrive and begin attending classes 6 weeks before we confirm awards for the previous cohort. What that means for you as members of staff is that the September and October are the cruelest and hardest months, as you experience conflicting demands on your time, accessing old students while welcoming new ones. This was particularly true this year because we have educated an unprecedented number of students, having enrolled nearly 900 across our programs in academic year 2020-2021. We admitted those 900 students in order to help UCL as a whole because our colleagues were very worried about shortfalls, particularly in overseas students. That, of course, did not turn out to be the case, as many students from overseas sought postgraduate courses in order to avoid gaps in their CVs. And as a consequence, we had many more students than we'd initially planned, 40% more, in fact. This year, we're back to our 2019-2020 levels, which hopefully will relieve some of those very real pressures on you and your work plans. So I would like to begin by taking this opportunity to thank all of you for your dedication and hard work for making it possible to educate those 900 students. And particularly, I'd like to single out Dr. Stevenson as departmental tutor, Dr. Francesca Scott as education manager, Rahana Begum and her brilliant teaching and learning team, Professor Tim Broyd and Dr. Jing Meng as departmental graduate tutors, and Satinda Barma, who has overseen the postgraduate research students who so ably support our teaching and dissertation supervision. The comms team, research management, and our admin teams have also been brilliant, again, led brilliantly by Helen Pascoe. And I am pleased to say that as head of department, that when I come in contact with others across the university who have caused to comment to me, they have always congratulated me on what an excellent admin team we have, one that has been well recognized and has received multiple awards for setting an example in that regard. So I'm very grateful to all of you, but I'm also grateful to you for doing more than just delivering this last year's teaching while starting this year's teaching. You've also launched a new MSc program, and you have been obliged to continue dual mode teaching, which again has produced additional resource constraints. And I'm very pleased by the successful launch of the MSc in real estate economics and investment analysis, which started this year out of here East in Bree. And the fact that that program is being delivered alongside dual mode teaching across our portfolio, which is to say that we're accommodating both students who have struggled to join us in the first half of the term and also teaching students in person, represents an absolutely Herculean effort. And as a consequence of that, we've been able to welcome 4 new lecturers on the teaching track who will be with us for this year in order to assist with the demands of that. So although I find that most individuals who speak to me are optimistic and positive about the future, I recognize that there is some selection bias in terms of the people with whom the head of department normally engages. And I know from my own experience, and certainly from some of the emails I read, that morale always dips in October, particularly so this October, and how could it not, given all that you're asked to do? So given those pressures, I hope very much that you'll rest up a bit during reading week, particularly now that the exam board is done, and that the rest of the term is a fruitful one and a rewarding one for you and your students. Alongside teaching, I know that you've also been busy with research activities, with enterprise, corporate philanthropy, and a number of major international partnerships that have been finalized or alternatively are close to being signed over these last 6 months. 6 months on from rebranding ourselves as the Bartlett School of Sustainable Construction, it's a great source of pride and pleasure to me to see how quickly the department has become comfortable in our new clothes. And I say department this time with real feeling, because one of the events of this autumn is that all of the units within the Bartlett are being formalized as departments within the UCL statutes, rather than continuing on with this long-standing de facto arrangement. We were actually becoming, in reality, a multi-department faculty. Now, there won't be very many visible changes as a result of this, but the Bartlett School of Sustainable Construction will become legible as a department when you hit on the UCL webpage. But more than that, what you'll see is that within the Bartlett, interestingly, the devolvement into multi-department faculties will translate into an encouragement of more multi-department and interdepartmental cooperation. So hopefully we'll have an opportunity to learn more in the months that come about what colleagues at places like Bezier and CASA and DPU are doing and how that might relate to our research. Also, of course, as we come into the end of the second year of the COVID-19 pandemic, we know that there are many challenges and uncertainties still, particularly in terms of what the winter will mean for the NHS. We know also that there are important developments on the horizon, particularly with respect to international demand for two-year degrees. There's some indication in both East Asian markets and in Europe that the classic one-year British degree is no longer being seen as equivalent. So we're thinking about how we can adapt and provide two-year degrees to our students alongside the one-year offerings. We also, of course, are bringing on stream these two new undergraduate programs, the MSci in Construction Project Management and the MEng in Construction Engineering Management. And as many of you know, we're launching a new MBA in Major Infrastructure Delivery, and we're retooling IIF to accommodate not only project finance, but also carbon and climate finance in the form of the Climate Investment and Finance track through it. So there are many, many challenges on the horizon, and we look forward to rising to them with the support of our academic and professional services staff, and also with our honorary staff. I want to take a moment to recognize the importance of the honorary staff. As many of you know, we have established new advisory boards in conjunction with each of our taught programs, and the honorary staff who collectively serve on them give us an enormous amount of guidance about shapes and trends in the industry, what graduate employers are expecting, what professional bodies perceive to be the urgent issues within each profession. And that's giving us the ability to work with key outside stakeholders in shaping our curriculum to make it more responsive. But also individually, the members of these advisory boards and the honorary staff as a whole are offering important guidance to students about their careers. I want to particularly thank them for that, because it's certainly clear in 2021 that if we are anxious and worried and harried and frustrated, our students are even more so. And it's very important that they can see inspiring examples of successful professionals who are still in their prime, working in industry and rising to these challenges. You know, the students amidst the Great Resignation and with the real dangers of climate change, as you know, driven home to many of us by COP26, it's good for them to see that we're all busier than ever, that we're meeting these challenges with confidence. But it's even more important that they see that the honorary staff are doing so that they can recognize themselves in recognize their own enthusiasm and their own hope for the future in the senior staff and the firms that they aspire to join. So I'm particularly grateful to you for doing that, for providing them with this kind of example, and for giving them hope that their careers will be as rewarding and as fulfilling as your own. And I think this is absolutely necessary if we're all to be part of a Build Back Better, Build Back Greener, Build Back Fairer global campaign and global challenge to move beyond COVID-19 and begin tackling climatic change with the seriousness and urgency it requires. So again, I would like to conclude my remarks simply by saying that being head of department and director of the Bartlett School of Sustainable Construction has been one of the really great privileges and most thrilling roles in my career. And I'm very, very proud of this community and all that we've managed to do in the last 2 years to rise to the challenges that we face. And I look forward to seeing what the next 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 years will bring. It really is a huge honor and a huge pleasure. And I hope that the second half of the term gives you a bit of relief and that you're able to enjoy the roll down to the holidays and to have a restful holidays as we conclude 2021. Thank you.